I'm going to start recording. Can you give me a mic check on yours?
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Perfect. We're good.
Mic check.
Okay, just try to stay in the middle of that. Notice that that's where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Just be mindful, Tom. Just be mindful.
Good deal.
I know. I'm at the as far as I
Maybe
go.
I'll sit like this, Oh, yeah, we got all this stuff.
They just gave me a fancy new camera.
I see that. Is that
Yeah,
yours?
It is mine right here.
Yeah, okay.
And here's my remote that I use for my fancy new camera. It's quite large, but I can move it. So more than I was able to do. Okay.
There you go. That's all you can ask for.
We're live now, but we're going to wait for a few of you to hop on, and then we'll kind of get going with what we expect for today. It's been a calm morning for the most part, would you say?
Yeah, well, down here, muggy.
Down here.
I hear. Yeah.
Good point.
Very humid, very muggy outside.
Okay, I'm sharing this to my page, and then we can... Good morning, everyone. This is your chance to ask questions. We're going to talk about the severe threat as we head throughout today. So, Tom, you're planning on going in the storm tracker a little bit later?
I think so. Yeah.
You excited?
I am a little excited, yeah.
Good. Okay, so I have meteorologist Tom Schmidt with me this morning, and we have to go to midday at 11, but we do have a little time to kind of give you what we expect for later today. We've already seen some photos of storm damage, so we'll show you that too, and then we can answer questions as well. Adam Huffman asked how we're doing today. He's ready for the storm chase today. Great.
Hey, he's not the only one.
Tom's going to be out there too. Okay, Tom. Tornado warning or tornado watch.
Hold on.
Tornado watch just issued.
That's right. And the tornado watch right now is mostly off into eastern Missouri. I think that came from the St. Louis office. It hasn't been issued for any of the Springfield counties in central or southwestern Missouri or northern Arkansas. Tornado watch is out to the east of us for now. There could be one issued later today for the afternoon, but right now that's not the case.
Okay. So you wouldn't be surprised if the National Weather Service office in Springfield issues one for Springfield?
They could. It certainly has that potential for today, just to keep everybody alerted.
Sure.
And just saying, hey, this is a chance we could see one today. Be aware on it.
So we talk about this when we go on school classroom visits. What's the difference between a watch and a warning? A watch is when all the ingredients, like if you were to make a taco or a cupcake, all the ingredients are there, but it's not put together. The warning's when you actually have the item put together and you can eat it.
Yeah, the taco one's the one I like.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
like
now, what we
cupcakes,
do have is a severe thunderstorm watch in place, and that is in place through about 2 p.m. through this afternoon.
Yeah, and we're already seeing severe thunderstorms that have moved through our northern counties. Right now, still in our area?
Yeah, on the edges. Marys County is where they are, Morgan and Marys County.
Okay.
So you can kind of make them out there on the radar, like you're showing. One little severe storm warning now in Vienna. It actually might be getting into Phelps County here fairly soon.
Oh, yeah. Okay, dropping down. Notice that where those thunderstorms have been, we're talking flash flooding afterwards. How much rain are they dropping?
Quite a bit. I'd say at least an inch has come down, and it's been heavy at times too. And there's just more rain, and we've seen a lot of rain for the past really 10 days to 2 weeks.
We're
End of April,
saturated for sure.
First week of May. It's been a very active past 2-week pattern.
Yeah, this is a good question. With the timing, how concerned should we be with buses and school release, getting kiddos home before it gets bad? I did hear of Lebanon. Sydney Moran told me that Lebanon has released 2 hours early from what I've heard. So I know schools, it's on their radar, pun intended, for sure. What do you think, Tom?
It definitely is. Yeah, and it should be. I mean, today will be kind of that day around that time. Now, we're not expecting round 2 to really develop in. So what we're dealing with now this morning is round 1. That includes for this morning's severe thunderstorm watch. Another watch may be issued later today to account for round 2.
Okay.
And round 2 is kind of the afternoon round people are watching out for. And that could maybe be, if you're farther east, maybe closer to 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay, let's talk timing. And somebody asked about Springfield when we expect. Sharon, what time are we expecting for Springfield? So let's look at this and kind of talk through this. This is our future cast. So different models show different timing with all of this. This is what Tom has thought looks most like what we're going to see today. So talk us through this, Tom.
Yeah, so this model is actually doing a pretty good job in determining what we're seeing right now. It's a great starting point, and it goes forward from here. So round 1 is what that cluster is showing right there. And there's going to be a boundary that round 1 kind of leaves behind. And so play it forward a little bit. You can kind of make out that boundary as it kind of slides a little bit farther south, maybe as far south as Springfield. But that boundary will be a focus point for storms with round 2.
Okay, and so a boundary, what's an easy way to explain it? storms have to have some sort of lift, some sort of ignition.
Right,
And
a
so
trigger
that
point.
boundary, that would be a boundary.
And this boundary will be basically just a wind change.
Okay.
South winds on one side, north winds on the other.
Okay, so enough to give it just a little bit of lift. Is what
Just
we're
enough to
saying.
cause a little bit of disturbance to get the air against each other. It's got nowhere to go.
Okay.
But up. It can't go into the ground, of course. So it has to go up. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about there.
Okay, so this is showing about 5 o'clock. People were asking, will we see anything in Springfield before that? And honestly, these models aren't really showing much of anything in Springfield.
Not much. Yeah, especially not this morning. Round one went farther north than what was previously thought. So it was good news for the morning, but it could mean, hey, we're still in trouble for the afternoon. So
Okay.
Springfield, I think it'll be close. Just depends on how far south that boundary goes. There's still some uncertainties there. But it's wherever that boundary is, and it could get to Springfield. That'll be a focus point for storms in the afternoon.
Okay, so this shows 5 o'clock, starting to move into Springfield and pushing through about dinner time. Safe bet?
About dinner time, yes, at the latest for us here in Springfield. And then, folks, it's a daytime event. That's good news there. No
Yes.
midnight wake-ups, phones
Yes.
not going off in the middle of the night.
I like that.
None of that tonight.
Okay, and then by 9 p.m., we're still seeing some storms hanging around. Looks like they lose a little bit of intensity by that point.
They certainly could. Yeah, they lose some of the daytime heating element, but I think we could still see some severe weather across southeastern Missouri as the storms push out around sunset. By midnight, I mean, we're clear.
Okay.
Those storms are out here. We're done.
Yeah.
And it's actually looking like a pretty nice day for tomorrow.
Oh, good.
And
That's
from here
what I
on
like
out.
to hear. So we had somebody ask about Versailles, Lake of the Ozarks, anything else expected later today. I do think you will see.
I think so.
round.
Yeah, it may just be, Versailles. It could be a little farther south of you, depending on that boundary. But I don't think you're out of the woods just yet. I certainly wouldn't go with the all clear there.
Okay.
You saw storms this morning, of course.
Yes.
You're still in line for
Actually,
possibly
I
a few
do
later
want
on.
to show you. We have a picture of, I believe this was in Eldon. This is a fire station.
That was Eldon. It was a volunteer firefighter that sent the picture in.
Okay.
I don't know if that's at the volunteer station or not.
Okay. We're not exactly sure, but we do know this picture was sent in from Eldon, and this was a thunderstorm warning that went through there.
It was, yeah. A wind blew the garage door open of this. It could be a shed, or like I said, we're not really exactly sure what the structure is, but some kind of barn. Yeah, they've been dealing with winds. Big hail been reported up there too. Haven't seen any of those pictures yet out of that storm up there.
I've not seen impressive hail yet from pictures.
Not
yeah.
yet. Yeah, we're looking. If you have any big hail pictures, folks, send those in.
Yes, we
through
would love to
Facebook
see those.
or email them to us or on our website. Anyways, great.
Okay, we've had some good questions come in here, so let's talk about those. Let me find a good one too. Lauren Cook, you've got some great questions. Are these expected to be squall lines, or is it more scattered in nature?
No squall line today.
Okay.
This morning was kind of an MCS, a cluster of storms, if you will. And later today will probably just be, it's not the same as a squall line. It'll be kind of a line of
But
maybe
it's more
a couple
of a look on the radar.
It'll be a line look, but
Okay.
it's not going to be the squall line situation. It'll be more of a supercell individual storm situation for
Okay,
today.
so a squall line, when we usually hear the word squall line, we think really, really strong winds, correct? Like that's what you see on the radar and you think there's something really pushing it.
Right, yes, exactly. It's like a wall of water and wind just blowing through,
Yeah.
moving. These won't be moving a whole lot to begin with. Pretty slow motion.
Okay, people are wondering about the Branson, Forsyth area. Models today have really taken the threat away, I shouldn't say completely, but it's
Right.
really shifted it more to the north.
It has, yeah. I think, especially to the east of there, too. The biggest risk right now looks to be east of Highway 65. So looking at Springfield up to Rolla, just draw an imaginary line there or something. Springfield to Rolla, down to West Plains and Cabool, and then back over to Springfield.
Okay.
That looks like kind of the triangular point where we're going to be watching.
Did you know Reed Timmer is in Springfield right now?
Oh, is he? Okay.
That's what, hey, rumor has it.
Rumor has it.
And they
well,
said that's not a good sign.
yeah. It's
How do you
kinda,
think he feels about that?
it's a good gauge.
Because like everybody, he's kind of like the doom and gloom, so everybody gets scared when he comes into town.
he's a little exciting, a little eager, we'll say.
Eager.
But no one can deny he's a great storm chaser.
Yeah.
He gets right up in there,
Yeah.
gets some of the greatest video out there.
That's true. Hopefully he just moves on out of our area soon.
Yeah.
Means the storms are here.
Yeah. Follow it away. Get it out of here, Reed.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Cantori on the beach. You don't want to see Jim Cantori
Yeah.
on the beach.
Hurricanes. Okay, this is a great question. How do you pick out where the boundary is on the radar? And she said, thanks for explaining all this.
You can sometimes see it.
Sometimes, yeah.
You can sometimes see a little boundary. If it's close enough to the radar, you'll notice like a faint green line occasionally, and that'll be a good indication of
kind
where
of
the
looks
boundary
like
is.
a line of what would be very light rain, but it's not.
Right. Yeah, It could just be maybe a denser area of clouds. Just even no matter how brief it is, but there could be just a little area.
On future though, you typically can't tell unless you look at other models, correct? Like that's
right. You can kind of make it out here just based on where the storms are developing on this one particular model.
Kind of training.
A little bit of training. Yeah, more flash flooding is also going to be in play for later today.
Let's go ahead and talk about the risk. We do not have a high risk like was issued a couple days ago, but we have upped the risk to a moderate risk.
Moderate risk, 4 out of 5. And you can kind of see this gives a good visual of where that bullseye was we're talking about. Now, just because you're not in the red, if you're in the orange, you're still looking at pretty nasty storm chances there, too. So don't think, oh, I'm not in the red, don't have to worry about it. If you're in the enhanced risk, including Springfield, over even Joplin area and northern Arkansas, you're still in line for seeing some of those bigger storms. But the best coverage of the most intense storms looks to be along and east of Highway 65.
Okay. I'm reading comments right now, and everybody's talking about just Reed Timmer's in town. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. Poor Reed. So you think the storms will get weaker by the time they get to southern Missouri into northern Arkansas?
I wouldn't count on it.
Okay.
I can't completely rule that out. They may weaken from what they are at their peak, but I wouldn't go ahead and call them weak by any means.
Okay. Camdenton, we'd mentioned you saw storms earlier. You are not out of the woods. We do think more storms to come. And somebody mentioned what happened to round 1 this morning, which I woke up this morning kind of expecting to see round 1. Models did shift it a little bit different compared to what we were looking at yesterday, which it happens.
It did, yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was big uncertainty going into this, and in the afternoon, there was big uncertainty regarding, okay, if round 1 just blows everything out and eats up all the energy, well, then round 2 is not going to be that big of a deal. But that didn't really happen. Round 1 went farther north than earlier thought. So if you walk outside Springfield, it's very humid.
Yeah.
It feels like a stormy day.
Looks stormy.
Yeah, the fuel is still here.
Yeah. Talking about fuel, the fuel for hail is also here. Hail this time of the year is pretty common because we're closer to those colder temperatures than we are the heat of the summer. And baseball size hail not out of the question today.
Not out of the question. The Cape, your how do you describe that? Your energy index, your lifting power in thunderstorms is pretty high for today. And so that'll be able to shoot some water, of course, and hold it there and make it to ice with lower freezing levels. So remember, a couple thousand feet up in the air, it's not this warm as it is on the surface. So there's still some freezing levels farther up in the air. That's where you get your hail from. But yeah, the energy is there to really just blast the hailstones up, hold them there. It'll be a strong updraft in these storms. That we could see the potential. Not everybody's going to see hailstones that big, and I hope most of us don't.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the potential is there for today.
Okay. Keep the car in the garage.
Yeah, Natalie, put the Lamborghini away.
Yeah.
Right.
Damaging wind risk. We also have a chance for really strong winds with these storms.
There is, yeah, especially again, you notice kind of east of Springfield a little bit. Could see winds 70, maybe 80 miles per hour out that direction. But that doesn't mean in Springfield we're not going to see that. We could easily still see 70-mile-an-hour winds over here. So there's pretty high wind energy.
Okay.
The jet stream is overhead, and so we'll see a lot of wind energy with this. That'll produce a lot of damage.
And that's something that we've been lacking a little bit for these past storms. So we have that today, whereas some of that wind energy has been
a little
not
lacking.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, elevated tornado risk. This is the look at tornadoes, and notice it is for Springfield to the east. And it's a 10% risk of a tornado developing in a point on the map, 25-mile radius.
Right.
So that's kind of hard to explain. My son was trying to get me to break it down for him this morning, and I'm like, look.
Yeah, it's like, can't you see it? It's right here.
Yeah, it is a little hard to explain. So
it can be, but that's just kind of their best thoughts where the environment is most favorable for seeing a tornado. And there could be a couple of them today, especially along where that boundary ends up being. So that boundary is really going to be a focus point for later today.
Okay. People are asking timing for Springfield. So let me go back and we'll time it just in a second for you guys. And they're worried about schools getting out and that situation, which will time that around the school time as well. We do need to mention the fact that it is the ground saturated. This is dropping a lot of rainfall as well. So the excessive rainfall outlook. There we go.
Right. Yeah, we are. We're already seeing flash flooding concerns already from that morning round in parts of Morgan, Benton, and Miller counties. They've already dealt with flash flooding this morning.
Do you know how much rain did they see already? Do you know?
I'm not sure exactly on the numbers. We have a little measurement on here. Yep. If you go back to our radar, you have the radar estimated rainfall.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that
Let's
one
time
there.
it out, and then I can do that right at the
Okay.
end. Okay, so we want to time it out for people were asking about Lake of the Ozarks. Notice this is at 4 p.m. Another strong storm, and this is going to be a flood risk too because they're already seeing flooding in that area.
It will be. Yeah, big time.
And then really, we're on the southern edge of it throughout the day in Springfield, but it looks more like your drive time when you're going home from work is what we're looking at.
It could be. And again, the timing I think is a little more definitive than the exact location.
Oh, okay.
We're still waiting to see exactly where that boundary lines up because that boundary is coming from Storm 1 and Storm 1 is still ongoing.
Okay.
And so once Storm 1 kind of wraps up, then we'll have a better idea of where exactly things are going to be lining
Okay,
up.
very interesting. Okay, so 2 p.m. This is kind of when school's starting to get out. Notice that it's really our northern part of our viewing area seeing those stronger storms.
Right, northern end of the West, West Central Missouri could be the first ones to
Okay.
see round 2 move through.
Okay, and then we're going to put it at about 3 o'clock. Still strong storms for our northern part of the viewing area. I would say north of I-44 as our kind of dividing line. on
Right,
this.
maybe north of Highway 60,
yeah.
near the interstate.
Yeah, 'cause
near and north of the interstate.
You're right. Like you said, we don't know where this boundary is going to set up shop. It could be a little further south. So,
Could
okay.
be.
So
Right.
3 p.m. and then we're going to go on into 4 p.m. Still the same situation, but the strongest of storms pushing off to the east at that time.
Right, Central Missouri kind of, again, like those maps we showed you, highest risk farther east. But that doesn't mean no, you're not going to see weather here in Springfield.
Yeah. Okay, let's try to pull up the rainfall estimates real quick before we get you going because you have to do midday news.
Yeah, right.
That's,
Yeah.
I got a little something to do on there too. What do you think?
There should
6
be-
hour rain?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good catch for the morning.
Okay, let's see. Okay.
There you go. So those yellows would be 2 inches.
Yeah.
So
And there's some oranges in there too.
Yeah,
So
so-
just north of Versailles, 3 inches.
locally 3. Yeah.
North of Warsaw, seeing 3. Okay.
And they've got, a slew of flash flood warnings in place,
Mm-hmm.
draped all across that area where they've seen that potentially 2 to 3 inches.
Yeah. One of the storms that moved through Eldon, we saw this picture that was sent in on the chat. Damage from, we're not exactly sure what that is.
It's some kind of, I don't think that's the volunteer fire department, but it came from somebody with the volunteer fire department.
Okay.
Some kind of barn of some kind. You see a bunch of tractors. It could be maybe a city building. Who knows?
Yeah. It looks like Billy McNutt said it looked like round 1 became more of a derecho MCS. Is that an accurate observation?
I might say MCS.
I was going to say not derecho.
Right. Although it looked like it was just one storm, though. And MCS is normally a cluster of a couple storms. And I think it kind of has turned into that a little bit as the morning has gone on. But it's really just been one storm.
But this is kind of the MCS time of year and kind of the
Right.
MCS time frame, like those, early morning pushing through type situations.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Harrison, Arkansas. Looks like later in the day for Harrison for sure.
I'd say probably closer to that, dinner time time frame for northern Arkansas.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, why don't you get on out of here? I think people could ask questions all day because they're worried, but thank you for being here. I'll try to answer a few more while you go get ready, and then we'll keep you updated. Tom's going to go out in the storm tracker today. That's the plan, at least. So he will keep us updated. And even if we don't, we stream when there's a tornado warning. But come this afternoon, if we don't have any warnings, which we hope we don't, we can stream Tom through here. So we may figure out how to do that for the first time.
Maybe so. Yeah, it'd be a
that
good
might be
idea.
fun.
Well, thank you,
Okay.
Natalie. I'm
Yeah,
going to get
see
in.
you later.
Catch us on midday at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. Tune in to midday. We would love to see you there. Let's see. Can this weekend in ways like Branson or Ozark area? Notice how Tom had told us. I'm going to have to get off of his Max 1 here in a second, but this will give us a good idea of where we're looking at. The Storm Prediction Center has upped the chance for, let me switch it over for you guys, sorry. Has upped the chance out to our east. Notice like Branson and Ozark, you're not in that moderate risk. You're in the orange enhanced risk, which is level 3 out of 5. The moderate's a 4 out of 5. Large hail's really our greatest risk with this. So area south, we still expect storms. We don't expect them to be quite as strong or maybe as worrisome as areas in that moderate risk. So Branson, Forsyth, still expecting storms, just not quite as strong, or the likelihood is a little less for your area. What's the difference between an MCS and a squall line, Patrick? That's a good question. MCS is clusters of storms that come together, and usually it happens in the early morning hours here in the Ozarks because they go across the plain states, and then that's the time they hit us. The squall line that we're looking at is more of a line segment with a big push behind it. Sometimes can look like a derecho. So, um, so it's just hail. Worry, not wind. Sorry, I love rain. Just can't stand the strong winds. Yeah, hail threats really large today. We've seen some reports of like radar indicated hail up to baseball size with some of those storms this morning. I've not seen any proof that that's what they saw. So, we heard Reed Timmer is in town. And a lot of people think, oh no, that's that's when we get worried. We talked about, yes, it could weaken just a little bit into the Branson Ozark area, although we do expect storms. Is it just a boundary issue or a dry line? Also, what's the difference between them? That's a good question. A boundary is when, as Tom said, for today, it's going to be a shift in those winds. A dry line can be a boundary, can be a trigger as well, but it's when you have really moist air and really dry air behind. I don't think that's our situation for today. We're looking at a wind shift caused by the boundary, so that's what we're looking for. So there's a difference. Boundary issue today is more of the wind shift. Tom's working in there on that, so that's what you're seeing right now. He's kind of zooming into some of those storms. It looks like they did pull the thunderstorm warning to the very north. Harrison, we talked about you later in the day. Strong storm still possible. Lots of storm trackers out and about here. Um, Pleasant Hope, that's a little bit of a tricky one. Wherever that boundary sets up, and it looks like it might be just to the north of Springfield, you may see these earlier storms move through, more like later this afternoon. Yesterday at this time, we were thinking of a distinct first line and then moving through second. I don't think Springfield, places like Pleasant Hope, are going to get hit with this first round. Clearly, that stayed well to our north. Okay. So we are, Clayton, you're welcome. We're glad to help. And this is our goal. We're really trying to drive home our streaming efforts when storms like this hit. We've got the Storm Tracker out and about, which is an amazing tool. It really is just phenomenal what it can do. So tornado warnings are when we go on air and when we will stream online. For stronger storms, we will continue to stream online. And if we don't have those warnings this afternoon, we will come on here and answer your questions as well. Timing of storms in Springfield. A little bit interesting, Bailey. We're looking at where that boundary is going to be situated. Right now it looks a little to the north. So it looks like the storms for Springfield could hold off more towards like drive time when you're leaving work, like 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Um, okay. Okay. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Jamie and Matt will be here a little bit later. Of course, Tom and I are here right now, so we'll have all hands on deck so that we can get to your questions. Please send them our way. And stay safe out there. Make sure you have our weather app. That's a great tool. We'll see you on news at midday.